All right, everyone, it's time to get to the hot topic on the docket, and that is the announcement of a brand new Red Hulk figure from the new Captain America film. And with its announcement, or rather tease as of this recording, the collecting world is in a tizzy because Hot Toys has opted to not go with a seamless body, which in turn is disappointing collectors all around the world. How could they do this? People ask. Why is Hot Toys so cheap? Why do they insist on seemingly cutting corners on every project, yet continually running up the price to purchase them? Well, sadly, my fellow collector, if you think not getting a seamless body was bad, well, just wait till I tell you the other upgrades and figure enhancements that are definitely not coming, and why they are not coming. All that and more is coming up next. Well, here we are back again with more disappointing news for our collecting community. And for all the people out there that think that I'm the negative one and have nothing positive to ever say about this hobby, have you seen the Facebook and Reddit post recently about virtually anything? Look, people, I'm just giving us topics to talk about. Hell, Hot Toys can announce an unbelievable figure that is coming soon, and all the comments on that post are literally collectors complaining about something else that is not being announced. We are such a silly and unserious community, but that's what makes us so much fun, right? So, just as I mentioned, the crying, the wailing, you heard it from all our collector friends, and that is this, that Hot Toys is not going the route of a seamless Red Hulk figure, it would appear. And this outrage is less about Red Hulk, I feel, but rather a potential real Hulk that will not be receiving a fully seamless body. Collectors have been clamoring for a new Avengers Hulk for quite some time, and frankly, he is probably due for an update. Now, the Age of Ultron Hulk did in fact come with a seamless power pose upper torso that you could swap out for a different look, and we may get something like that with Red Hulk, but it is the original Hulk from the first Avengers movie. That is the figure that everyone wants, and it is that figure that everyone wanted to have a seamless, articulated body. But people, I want you to look at me. That is a pipe dream, along with other upgrades and enhancements that we think are imperative for Hot Toys to adopt. Now, I'm going to get to a full, detailed breakdown about why a full seamless silicone body is not happening and how impractical it actually is, as well as 4 other enhancements that I can assure you are not happening. But before we get into any of that, I do want to remind you that if you have made it this far and you have not hit me with a like on this video, why don't you do that right now? I could certainly use it. I would appreciate it. And it does, in fact, help the channel with the algorithm. And trust, I want to get as many people mad at me as possible for the fake news I'm undoubtedly about to spew. In their mind, of course. So do me a solid and subscribe to the channel as well if you want to see some of those fireworks and some pretty decent videos, if I do say so myself. So, the big topic at hand. Why not a silicone body for this big Hulk? Why not more diecast? Why not full leather products? And so much more. These are the complaints that are thrown at Hot Toys and what collectors feel would really elevate these already premium figures to an even higher tier of collecting. So let's go ahead and start with the big one. The seamless silicone body that collectors want, and why that is impractical, at least for this figure. Look, I do get it. For the prices that we pay, we should absolutely be having the most realism for our dollar. And as most collectors would say, a body with no visible joints would yield the ultimate realism. Most people agree that the Hot Toys Bane is one of the best that Hot Toys has ever put out there, but here is why it is impractical for Hulk. Okay? At this point in time and with the current technologies, there is 100% a durability issue that needs to be taken into consideration. Silicone, while flexible, tears easily at stress joints like elbows, knees, and shoulders. We've seen it repeatedly. Why do you think that these people are terrified to pose that new Bane? Look no further than Ahsoka, Wonder Woman, the Thor arms. The list go on and on. Imagine getting the figure you always wanted only for Hot Toys to be flooded with more complaints than they already have. And how about the material actually breaking down? Over time, silicone can get sticky It can crack or degrade, especially in humid or hot environments. At this time, there is just not enough long-term data with silicone figures, and how long they actually will hold up, it's anybody's guess. Even the ones from J&D, no one knows how long they'll actually last. At the price point that Hot Toys is trying to charge, I don't think that's happening anytime soon. And as cool as it may look, you have to be realistic about limited articulation. Seamless silicone over an internal skeleton restricts movement, it's a fact, thus making dynamic posing risky with a character like the Hulk. It would be damn near impossible. Bane, as I mentioned, isn't bad, and it's actually quite good, but for collectors that want the ultimate in realism, you're going to have to live with the eternal museum pose if you want a seamless Hulk. It's just the facts. If you want crazy comic book poses, maybe look into statues or cheaper figures like Marvel Legends that allows you to pose them up at will. And of course, don't forget about the actual maintenance. How do you preserve silicone long term anyway? Well, that requires special powders or treatments to prevent the material from deteriorating quicker than it already normally does. So, all that to say, you aren't getting a seamless Hulk anytime soon. If I'm wrong, I'll eat my words, but don't count on it. The next thing that collectors are clamoring for, and that I think is definitely not going to happen, is more diecast accessories and full metal diecast bodies. We want to feel the premium weight. Yes, the diecast Iron Man figures give you the closest that you're going to get to a full diecast figure, but even the most recent Iron Man releases still have their fair share of plastic. As much as we love to say that diecast is an addition that is required for premium figures, here is why that is also impractical. Stay with me now. Let's first talk about a weight issue. A full diecast figure would be just too heavy, making it hard to pose and likely will fall over without support. That is why every single one of the quarter scale Iron Man figures are not diecast, but rather they're plastic. You put that much diecast into something and you're going to have way too much weight, which in turn naturally leads to joint stress. Heavier parts would then put excess strain on articulation, leading to looser joints, or worse, breakage over time. That's why figures like K2SO, General Grievous have diecast parts. They're not fully diecast. While they are cool, I think it's also why we don't see as many diecast accessories, because these figures with their bodies, they just can't hold them up. And for the people out there complaining about how expensive this hobby has gotten, adding more diecast to figures will naturally lead to incredible skyrocketing costs. Diecast is already far more expensive than plastic. Add more diecast than already that is in it to a package, and now you're increasing both production and shipping costs significantly. And at the end of the day, every ounce counts when it comes to shipping. And lastly, for this impractical need, it simply is just not always necessary. While diecast works great for armored figures like Iron Man, it doesn't really add much benefit to any other figure. Yeah, metal lightsabers, metal weapons, Wolverine claws, all that stuff would be pretty nice, but at the end of the day, it goes on display, and can you really tell the difference, especially at this scale? Now, how about this complaint? Real, full-grain leather outfits. I've actually done an entire video on the difference between leather and pleather with Hot Toys and why Hot Toys goes this route. If you haven't seen that, I invite you to check it out, of course, but if you want a quick summary about why it's impractical, here you go. And the two biggest reasons is that it's super expensive and leather patterns are inconsistent. Real leather ages, and it comes from real animals, like our fingerprints. None are the same, so at this scale, when it ages, full leather leads to greater inconsistencies between figures. Real leather is also expensive to source and process, while pleather is significantly cheaper to manufacture in bulk. Pleather can be easily produced in consistent textures and colors, making it the ideal option for large-scale manufacturing, like action figures. Real leather, as I mentioned, varies in its texture, its grain, its quality, and it's harder to handle and sew, especially, once again, at this scale. I know most people don't want to admit it, but did you know that actual leather will deteriorate over time too? Leather does dry out, it cracks, it peels, just like faux and pleather, especially if exposed to humidity or temperature changes. So if it's going to fall apart anyway, and it's already way more expensive, you better believe they're going to be giving you the cheaper option that they can get into most people's hands without worrying about climate. in the immediate. I hate to say it, but it's true. And then there's the ethical and environmental concerns. Many companies opt for synthetic materials to avoid using animal products, appealing to a vegan and environmentally conscious consumer. However, pleather is often made from PVC or polyurethane, which are not biodegradable, and they do contribute to plastic waste. So yeah, it's kind of a pick your poison situation, quite literally. Oh, but Kiko, you say, where have you been? You are full of it. Don't you know that Hot Toys just announced a full genuine leather T800? Oh, I know, but what type of leather is it? Well, it's either full grain or top grain. Full grain is the highest quality that comes from the top layer of an animal hide. Top grain leather is also from the top layer of the hide, but is sanded or buffed to remove imperfections. After this process, it's typically given an artificial grain to give it a uniform appearance. It's actually less durable than full grain because it's now processed more, and in turn yields a smoother, more consistent appearance since natural imperfections are then removed. Top grain is often finished with dyes and textures for a specific look or to match certain aesthetics. Are you starting to get it yet? It's commonly used in products where consistency and appearance is desired, like car interiors, furniture, and yes, toys, because it provides a uniform look over natural aging. So, full grain lasts longer and gets better with age. However, top grain leather, while durable, doesn't age as gracefully. So yeah, it's a little better than pleather, but if you think that this new figure is the end-all be-all, well, you are mistaken. You know how I know that this is what is happening? Because cost is king. Full grain is 20 to 100% more expensive according to the markets. You really think Hot Toys is sourcing full grain leather on the cheap? Psh, please. Next up is an even better rooted hair option. Yeah, some collectors want real human-like hair with individual strands. It's not a joke. That's a real thing. They want ultra-realistic salon-quality hair on these figures, not this wool implant nonsense that we're getting on artisan and in-art figures, and here is why that is impractical. Of course, it would be extremely difficult to apply. Each hair would have to be individually inserted and styled, making production insanely time-consuming. We are already behind with artisan and in-art figure releases. Do we really want to make this even more complicated? The second concern that most people aren't even talking about is the future maintenance nightmare. Yeah, we love to complain about maintaining leather and pleather, but how are all these rooted figures going to look in 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Like Silicone, we still just don't have any idea or answer to that yet, and it could be a potential disaster. Like, how is dust going to settle on these figures with all this hair? How do you clean them without absolutely effing up the styling? Are you going to have to use even more product to get it back to the way it used to look? Keep in mind that wool hair is what is used to work with at this scale. Human hair and horse hair is a completely different consistency and thickness. I can barely style my own hair on the reg, so how is that going to work having 1/1 scale hair on a 1/6 scale body and head? You see what I'm getting at? That's because human hair is almost 10 times thicker than wool hair. It doesn't work. I know these things sound like they're out in left field, but there is a reason that Hot Toys chose the gluing wool hair implementation option as opposed to full hair needling. And finally, one that I really want, fully powered USB figures without all the nasty, messy wires. You know, after plugging up my Darth Vader with these USB cables, I've realized the necessity of having lights running into some of these figures. They really do amplify your display, but the current iteration of this technology is absolutely terrible. It sucks, and I truly believe it can be better because some other third-party companies are already doing it. But here's why the impractical reasons come up when it comes to waiting a little while longer for Hot Toys to perfect this technology. The first is because of a battery lifespan issue. Simply put, internal batteries degrade over time, meaning the figure could stop lighting up permanently after only a few short years. Can you imagine how pissed collectors would be if the figure that they paid hundreds of dollars for no longer worked with no option to get back in and fix it? It'd be like a cheap Walmart toy at that point. So I get it. We need to have a permanent power source. And of course, with a permanent power source means there's going to be heat risks. Continuous power generates heat, which could damage materials like plastic, silicone, or fabric. And frankly, that's a recipe for disaster. So how about a better charging option? How about port placement? Well, a charging port would need to be hidden somewhere discreet, but no placement is going to be ideal without affecting articulation or aesthetics, and you know how we are as collectors. And of course, we cannot forget about how much designing something like this would actually cost, meaning once again, cost increases would be inevitable. Wireless or internal power tech would add significant cost, making figures even more expensive. And I know, I can hear everyone already saying, for the cost they charge, already this stuff should be standard. I hear you, but it's not. As I talked about in our video last week, you may not feel that the cost of these figures are even worth it right now, already with what we're currently getting. But at the end of the day, Hot Toys is a business that still has to employ painters, sculptors, assemblers, tailors, stylers, everything under the sun to get these figures produced and out to collectors in a sufficient amount of time. And if you haven't noticed, this world is not cheap, and it's only getting more and more expensive. Now look, while some of these upgrades sound amazing, most, if not all, would increase cost dramatically. It would reduce durability and/or create long-term maintenance issues. However, I will concede, some improvements like wireless charging bases, more seamless arms and forearms, better long-lasting materials, and improved PERS systems, to name a few, this could and should be a consideration for Hot Toys in the future. We are already paying a fortune for these things, and we should demand and expect Hot Toys to provide us the best that they can at the current costs. But now, I would like to hear from you. If you could make one of these upgrades work without any drawbacks, which one would it be? Would you let me know? Down in those comments below. Let me know which one you want to see most. And of course, if you think that I'm completely off base and I have no leg to stand on and I've just been talking out my ass, then please, respectfully, let me know that too. If you made it this far and you still haven't hit me with a like, but feel that I did earn it, please go ahead, hit that thumbs up now. And of course, make sure that you are subscribed to this channel so that you know when new videos and content drop. So, until next time, happy collecting, keep on dreaming, and I'll be seeing you in our next video.